God is not a concept. God is a way of life. I'm coming for you right now. I got to. I said, I was supposed to go upstairs. I've been down here in the studio, but I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to sleep with this word in me, because there's somebody else that can have an appreciation for what I just shared. It's not a concept. It's a way of life. You either believe or you don't. And you have a choice to frame those tears that you're now experiencing with gratitude and hope and expectation that God is still in charge. This is no place for a warrior. This is a place for a warrior. He's checking me, the motivator. And he had me to look at my tears differently. And I'm saying to you, there's something in you. He kept saying that to me. He said, you, when I was going through some tough times, you brought something out of me. I would listen to you when I'm in a dark place and going through some tough experiences. And he began to cry, and I cried with his tears of gratitude and appreciativeness, that I was able to touch him in spite of what he was going through and is going through with muscular dystrophy, but he has not allowed that to control his life. He said to me, the motivator, God is not a concept. It's a way of life. And whatever area of your life that requires some attention, whatever you are dealing with, whatever the pain, the tragedy, the stuff that life catch you on the blind side that you didn't see coming, it's a way of life.
So you prove the stars are here and the stars are there. Whatever, can you get there? Does it matter? I just enjoy looking at them. They're beautiful. It doesn't affect me. None of that affects my path through this realm. Whatever the shape is, wherever it's located, the main thing that affects me on my path through this realm is the emotional state that I'm in, the energetic state that I convey. And the most definite part of this whole journey, the only part of it that is absolutely unavoidable, is exiting the realm. Eventually I'm going to die. We're taught to live our lives in fear of that and to do everything we can to avoid that. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen to everybody at some stage. There's no avoiding it. It's just the way it is. You're going to leave this realm. You're going to leave it. You're going to die one day. The question is, how do you want to spend your time in the realm, and how do you want to exit the realm? Are you prepared to allow yourself to be pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and cowed, walk around being afraid to talk to anybody and have no life here at all because you're scared of the one part of life which is inevitable, which is going to happen to you anyway? Or would you prefer to just exit the realm now before they do that? You know, and I'm not saying commit suicide or anything like that, but I'm just saying stand in your power and allow whatever happens to happen. Because if everybody did that, we wouldn't have to do any of this. You could turn off your television, shut down your smartphone, turn off the internet, the whole would go away. How many people are prepared to do that? And how many people are prepared to allow themselves to be pushed and squashed and squashed and squashed in order to avoid death, when death is the one part of life which is inevitable?
I could have easily faded down the sideline, running with my guy as the quarterback was dropping back to release the ball. But as I'm running and checking my guy, I see my teammate getting beat. My guy who I told in the tunnel, hey man, if you get beat, I got your back. And I knew my teammate probably would have caught the guy if he would have caught the ball, because my teammate, he went on to be a first round, 10 pick, multi-million-dollar guy, went on to play for the Patriots. So I knew he was a pretty talented guy, and he probably would have caught the guy and tackled him. But I told him, hey man, if you get beat, I got your back. And it just so happened, a play unfolded with a little bit over 2 minutes left in the game to where my guy, now he was getting beat. And I'm fading off on my guy, but I see the quarterback, he was releasing the ball to the guy that was beating my teammate. And I said, man, I gotta go. I gotta have his back. And I go up and I roll up and I go to hit this guy to end the game. This tackle probably would have ended the game if I'd have hit him and caught him the right way. If I'd have hit him and caught him how I really wanted to catch him it probably would have ended the game and I would have made him fumble because I knew the game of football like you guys know the furniture business. I knew it in and out. Like a guy take 2 steps off the line of scrimmage, I could tell you which way he was going. If a guy would cut inside, I could tell you it's only about 3 things he can do out of this formation. Like I knew it in and out. And so I knew if I'd have caught him in the right location at the right time, I'd have popped that ball out. But it didn't work like that. I hit him, and as soon as I hit him, it seemed as if every breath in my body left. I lost control of my body. Never happened to me before. Body went completely limp. Seemed as if every breath in my body left. I'm falling to the ground like, man, what's happening? And I black out. As soon as I hit the ground, I black out. Never happened to me before. I black out. I come back to. My teammates run over to me. Hey, Ink, get up, man. Let's rock. Let's go. So I can't. So what do you mean you can't? You always get up. Get up. Let's roll. So I can't move. So there's a shock going from my neck to my toe. I can't feel anything. Shock eventually left and it stayed in my right arm and hand. I remember as I was lying there, they were bringing the spine board out. They put me up on the spine board, and as they're wheeling me off the field, I looked up to the sky and said, surely nothing has happened in this moment that can alter my life. This is what I love to do. They get me over to the ambulance. They said, man, we're going to take you to the hospital, run some CAT scans. We'll bring you back into your room. We'll tell you what's up. I said, all right, cool. They take me in the room. They run CAT scans. They bring me back into another room. And when they put me into the room in my hospital bed, my mother comes in. She kisses me. She prays for me. And as she's going to walk out, doctors rush in from the opposite side as my mother is walking out. And when my mother told me, son, you'll be all right, there was a certain element of peace attached to it. Because I had been with my mother my whole life. Me and my father, our relationship was pretty much a business relationship. Early years, he wasn't there. When I started playing sports, he came along in the picture, but I needed him to get out of my situation, right? And so we had a business relationship. But when my mother said something to me, I've been rocking with my mother since I was 16. Had missed meals with my mother since she was 16, And so when she said it would be okay, I was like, all right, cool. And as she's going to walk out, doctors running in, they said, hey guys, get in here. We got to rush him back to surgery. He's about to die. I said, it's a new ball game. Like I was a part of the football game, but this is a new game. I said, die? I said, yeah, man, you busted up subclavian artery in your chest. You're bleeding internally. Got to rush you back, take that main vein out of your left leg, plug it into your chest in order to save your life. We don't have much time. Next morning, I wake up from recovery. He said, Inky, I got some good news and some bad news. Good news, we saved your life. I said, thank you. Bad news is you got nerve damage in your right shoulder. I said, all right, cool. So we got to send you up to the Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota. I said, all right, cool. He said, but the problem is, you know that dream of going to the NFL? I said, yes, sir. I'm close. He said, strong possibility you probably can never play the game of football another day in your life. I said, no way. I said, I don't know if you know how hard I work for this. Like, I don't know if you know, I've been working since I was 7 years old. Like, I didn't start out playing football saying, man, I just want to go to the NFL to make it. Yeah, I wanted to go to the NFL to take care of my family, give back to my community. But the way in which I started playing the game, I started playing in the street, and I would be bloody. My mother didn't even sign me up to play. The first white guy I ever met in my life signed me up to play football. A guy riding down the street in a blue pickup truck. Never forget it. My guy, love him to death. Pulling down the street in a blue pickup truck, pulls on the curb, steps out of his truck, walks up in the middle of our game. I'm standing there bloody, tackling football in the street. Guy walks up, Trey Hurst, never forget it. My uncle's on the corner, they're drug dealers. In prison right now. They take off running. My Uncle Bobo serving 40 years in a federal penitentiary. He looks back, he said, Inky, don't talk to him. He thinking the guy's the cop. Coach Trey, nicest guy in the world. Walks up, he said, man, would you kids like to play football on grass? I said, man, I would love that. He said, go in the house and get one of your guardians. I ran in the house. My Uncle JJ had married into the family. I said, hey, Unc, man, it's a guy outside. Will you please come and talk to him? Uncle said, sure. Uncle comes outside. Coach Trey said, listen. He said, I don't even supposed to be over. He said, I brought a kid home. His mom asked me, could I bring him home? I brought him home. He said, I rode down the street. I see these kids playing football in the street. They're bloody. He said, you could bring them across town. I got a lead. Y'all can sign them up. I think it'll be a great opportunity for them. Uncle said, sir, we greatly appreciate it. Hate to tell you, we don't have the money. And I'm standing in front of him because I really want to play. He said, I hate to tell you, but his mother said she definitely doesn't have the money. She's at work at Wendy's right now. I'll never forget that coach looked at my uncle. He said, I tell you what. He said, y'all bring him to the park. So here's the address. He said, not only will I sign that kid up, I'll sign every kid in this street up. They brought us to the park the next day. He signed every last one of us up, and it changed the trajectory of my life. Yo, the second person I saw in the hospital after they saved my life, that coach that signed me up to play ball when I was 7 years old, crying on my mother's shoulder. Yo, the person my mother called on Christmas when me and my family got robbed, they put a 9mm and a 45 in my face when I was 15 years old. That coach that signed me up to play ball when I was 7 years old. And so what I was telling the doctor was, Doc, I got to give some people a return on their investment. Like, this can't stop right now. Now, I'll never forget, I said to him, I never cheated. I said, I never cheated. I was taught you work for something, the result will be what you want it to be. Like, I never cheated. Like, nobody had to worry about me cutting corners. Like, a coach could give me a workout, I'll go do it. If my teammate would try to cheat, sometimes I'll complete my guy's workout. Like, I never believed in it, right? Because I knew every time I cheated, it was a possibility and an opportunity for me to become weaker. And so I never believed in cheating. I never believed in the mentality behind cutting corners and not facing a challenge. Because I understood if it didn't challenge me, it wouldn't change me. I said, man, send me up to the Mayo. My career can't be over. I worked too hard. And I go up in the Mayo Clinic, and I'll never forget. I walk in the room, and there's 3 doctors. And they come in and they say, hey, Ink, here's the deal. We're going to cut to the chase. They said, you have torn all the nerves in your brachial plexus. I said, what's that? They said, it's the nerve roots that go from your spine that controls your shoulder, your arm, and your hand. I said, it goes into your spine like this. You've ripped them all out. They can't go back in. They said, we hate to tell you, but football career, it's out of you. They said, your shoulder, your arm, your hand, never be the same again. They said, here are your surgery options, Ink. We could take a muscle, back of your left leg, plug it into your right arm, possibility, weak left leg, weak right arm the rest of it. We could take a nerve out of your left arm, reroute it up to your chest, down into your right arm, possibility, 2 weak arms the rest of your life. We could take a nerve out of your left rib, reroute it up to your chest, down into your right arm, possibility, breathing problem, weak right arm the rest of your life. By the way, tell us what you want to do at 8 o'clock in the morning. Next morning, I walked into the office. They said, what option did you choose? I said, no disrespect to you. Cut me where you got to cut me. I guarantee you, if I don't die, I'll be fine. They said, you got to choose an option. I said, no disrespect to you. Cut me where you got to cut me. I guarantee you, if I don't die, I'll be fine. And what I was telling them was, Doc, you got to take my life before you take my drive, man. I'm not a light switch person. Like, I don't turn it on and turn it. Like, I could play you in checkers. I'm going to try to destroy you. Like, I could play you in a game of, little pitch and hold, a little thing. I'm going to try to destroy you. That's just my mentality of just going all in everything that I do. And what I was telling them, you can cut me wherever you got to cut me. If you don't kill me, you will not stop me because I know my mentality and I know the way I'm wired. I don't turn it on and turn it off. But as life would have it, they cut me 6 times down my left thigh. 1 time across the left side of my neck, 1 time across the right side, twice through my right ribs, cut out my right pec, bottom of my armpit, bottom of my hand, 350 staples in my body, bandaged me from my neck to my knees. And they come in my room the next day. They said, Inky, we're going to get to know each other really well. You'll be in this hospital next 40 or 60 days. On the 3rd day, we were leaving the hospital. And as we're leaving and the doors were opening, he said, you broke a record. How did you do it? He said, nobody has ever gotten out of here in under less than 40 days with a surgery of that magnitude. I said, Doc, I just didn't feel as if I had the right. He said, what are you talking about? I had the right. I said, I just didn't feel as if I had the right to stop. Like, I just didn't feel as if I had the right not to show up and give everything out. Like, I just didn't feel as if I had the right to not press forward. Like, I just felt as if the people that I represent and the people that had invested in me and built the gentleman that you see called Inky, it's a lot of people that go into the, like, when they were out there telling me, man, I admire what you've been through. I admire the place you've gotten to in life. And I told them, I said, there was a lot of people that helped me. And I take those spirits with me every day. Like, Maya Angelou has a quote that says, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000.
40,000 or so specialized cells configured in a way that creates a neural network in the heart. It's their brain-like cells, but they're not in the brain, they're in the heart. And it's actually called the little brain in the heart. What they found, what the scientists discovered, is that these cells think independently of the cranial brain. They feel and they remember. And what that means is every experience that we have, even this one right now, I'm registering this experience in 2 places. This is a good experience, so it's not a problem. I'm registering in my cranial mind as well as in my heart. But if we were having a trauma, it would still be registered in both places. And if I tried to heal that trauma only through thinking about it or talking from my mind, it might feel incomplete. The healing may feel incomplete. And the reason is because I've only addressed what happened in here. I haven't addressed what happened in here. And we know this intuitively. I did an experiment a few years ago. Every culture I went to and every age group, I asked little kids, I said, where are you sitting right now? Show me where you're sitting. And people say, I'm sitting right here. They say, right here. Or you ask the indigenous people, where do you live? Well, this is my home. And almost instinctively, we know that the heart is the seat of our existence, the seat of our being. You don't see them hitting their head, or their arm or something else. So when we talk about heart intelligence, what we're talking about is the ability for these neurons to communicate with the neurons in a way that is meaningful to those neurons. These neurons are linked to a wisdom, to an intelligence that is right for us. Mine is right for me, yours is right for you. And any question that you ask this intelligence, it will answer you in a way that will serve you in that moment. It will never tell you to do anything dangerous or anything that would hurt anyone else. I'll give you a perfect example. I was in Australia over 9/11. Couldn't get back into my own country until the flights were flying again. And when they did fly, I was in Sydney, Australia, and there was a Boeing 747, that's a big plane, with fewer than 20 people that were going to come to the U.S. And there was, at the ticket counter, we were at the gate to board, and the agent said, there's so few people, we're not going to board by boarding rows. You can board this plane if you want to and go to America. And I said, well, you don't sound very encouraging. She says, I don't know what happened in that country. She says, but this plane's going to go there. If you want to go there, I don't know if it's going to happen again. I don't know if it's over, but if you want to get on the plane, get on the plane. And really didn't instill a lot of confidence in me or the other people that were there. I said, hold that thought, just wait a minute. And I stepped around the corner, and there's a technique where you can you touch your heart like this. And when you touch your heart, your awareness will always go to the place where you feel the touch.
What's your life like today? How you doing? How's your family? How's your business? The reason I ask is I've spent the last 6 months traveling as much or more than I ever have in my life. I've been working on our TV show, and simultaneously, though, I've been working with people in businesses and their individual life from literally all over the world, all over the United States, but from the U.S. to London, and from London to Fiji, and Fiji to China, China to Singapore, to Thailand, back to Rome. I mean, it's been a whirlwind. And everywhere I go, I see people that are extremely stressed. I see as much stress as ever before. And even though supposedly the economy has begun to turn around, the economy may be turning around, the stock market may be, but most people are not feeling it yet. In fact, the jobs aren't turning around, and so a lot of people are experiencing enormous stress. So how are you? If you're doing really well, I'm here to congratulate you, and I'd like to maybe share something with you that you could use to help somebody that you care about that maybe not doing quite as well as you are. And by the way, we can always do better, so I think these 5 little keys I want to share with you could be helpful for your own life as well. No matter how great you are, take it to the next level. If you are facing challenging times, or if somebody you really care about is, I thought, what could I do real quick? Because we're on the internet, that could add some value, maybe give you some perspective, give you just a little bit of a quick plan to really move yourself forward.
Can anyone be a leader? And I ask that for sort of 2 reasons. One, just my own curiosity for supply and demand, right? If everybody's a leader, then who's a follower? And you got to have leaders and followers. But secondly, I'm curious what you think about innate qualities versus teachable qualities.
First, let's just look at what's the scarcest resource you probably need in our society today. It's great leaders. You look at the political process that we're going through right now. If there's any evidence that we're hurting for leadership, you see it in government, you see it in businesses. There aren't that many great leaders. Now, so then the presupposition for a lot of people will be then, well, it must be this innate talent. If there are people that are born and upbred, maybe born with more certainty, like people are willing to take more risks. There certainly are people of that nature. But anyone can be a leader in something that they decide to become masterful in. You could be the leader of your own life. Everyone should lead their own life. You should be the leader of your family. And so I think everyone can be a leader, but there are different types and different styles of leadership. And I believe that leadership is a skill. It starts with having something that you're committed to that's larger than yourself, a vision that's bigger than yourself. If there's a large enough vision, if you have enough passion for that vision, then you're going to have enough drive to actually start to execute. And then Leadership is the capacity to discipline your disappointment. Because you're going to have to go through failures, and instead of making failures, you have to learn from those. And then it comes down to the skill of influence once again. And so anyone can learn, anyone can develop a vision, anyone can uncover their passion, anyone can learn to influence. That's a skill that can be learned. So yes, leadership can be taught and leadership can be learned. Can everyone be a leader? The answer is yes, because there's so many different things to lead in. And it's not a situation like you have to follow me for you to lead. I just have to know what it is I truly stand for and follow accordingly. Listen, nothing changes your life like decision. I mean real decision though. And when you make a decision, you cut off any possibility except the thing you've committed to. As I always tell people, if you want to take the island, burn the boats. I mean, if you make a real decision, every bit of you is committed to something, it's amazing how life will move for the force of nature of a human being, man or woman, that says, this is how it will be. I don't know how I'm going to get it done, but I know this is what I'm going to do. I know why I'm going to do it. Martin Luther King, he says, any man who hasn't figured out what he's willing to die for isn't fit to live. If you can find something you're so excited about, if you can find something that will drive you, that certainty, and you add to that decisiveness, you can change anything.
You have a choice to make. Do you have the right reaction or do you have the wrong reaction? Some of us were tempted, I'll just lay here and it will pass over me. I'm telling you, you will be in a vicious cycle forever. You have to get up.
My mom this morning knew I wasn't feeling good. She goes, honey, do you need to cancel that talk? I'm like, Mom, I can't cancel on these people. It's like, we work so hard. Why is it matter? I go, Mom, I'm helping them. She goes, oh, then you need to go. Because they're about service. Okay, so in your life, I'll go a little bit more here, you guys. In your life, if you combine understanding your mess can be repurposed, understanding I'm just like you, understanding the RAS, understanding changing your identity, understand bending time, you have a shot. Combined with this industry, combined with the information you're getting. But if you don't change your identity, do you know how many people I've had as friends that got wealthy that aren't anymore? More than I have that are still wealthy. Do you know how many friends I have who lost a lot of weight and got in shape and aren't anymore? Do you know how many friends I have that had a great relationship and marriage that aren't in that relationship? Does this sound familiar to you? You want to know why? Your internal thermostat doing all that crap back. I ain't going back. I know where I am. I got to change that thermostat. By the way, you change the thermostat for your association. Change the thermostat. By the way, associations read books, follow media, listen to podcasts, and audio, all that stuff. Subscribe to my podcast on YouTube, all free. I make no money. This is work. My podcast costs me about $1 million. I do it to help you. I'm here today to help you. I wasn't paid to be here today, but it's one of the only things I do to get paid anymore to help. I'm here to help. I'm here to change your life. I spent the first 45 years of my life building my legacy and my dream, and I want to spend the second half helping other people build theirs. I feel like it's my calling and my mission in my life is to help people. It's sort of my form of ministry. I trickle God in there just a little bit, but not enough to be offensive. I give people the tools, skills, and inspiration to do it. I want to change the world. It's up to you how long it lasts. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. Being on the bottom is tough. Down but not defeated. Down but not out. You feel sorry for yourself here and you dwell on it here, but do you like it here? If you like the bottom, I can't help you. If you hate the bottom, we can work. If you hate the bottom, I got you. Because if you got you there, you can get to the top. It takes time to get to the bottom. In other words, it's a process. Even falling is a process. It's not instant. Failing is a process, and so is success. Sailing is a process. Failing is a process. And so is success. In fact, failure does not happen overnight. It takes time to fail. But success doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to be successful. can answer the question. When you were down, did you get back up? The same way you get to the bottom is the same way you get to the top.
You have not recognized your individuality. You have not recognized that you're your own man with your own thoughts, your own gifts and talents, and more importantly, intentions. But in the midst of being gifted and talented in your own man or own woman, it is your attitude that has been compromising your altitude, your pride, your ego, your narcissism being so consumed in self, not being able to coexist with others. I, me, and mine comes out of your mouth. How many times can you go through your day without saying I, me, and mine? And flipping that into we, ours, and us. How often can you do it? I believe that if your career is not on the level that it's supposed to be on, you are all about sabotage, self-sabotage, and self-defeat. You may believe because your mama taught you this or your daddy taught you this.
All of you have targets, things that you're after. If you're going to get a new result, if you're going to grow your business, if you're going to be able to support your mom, if you're going to get rid of the anxiety, if you're going to be able to overachieve and not have all that fear inside of you, you obviously need to get a new result. You're going to have to get new action. You don't get new results with old actions. They're the same thing.
Sometimes life can really hijack your fucking mind. When that happens to you, you're all fucked up. Your goals, your ambitions, everything's out the fucking window. In life, we all go through different things. Sometimes your girlfriend or boyfriend breaks up with you. Guess what? Get the fuck over it. They no longer want you. Maybe you failed a test in school and you worked your ass off. Guess what? You failed the fucking test. Get over it. Move past it. Learn to not let life hijack your brain. At work, you've been working your ass off for that new promotion. You don't fucking get it. Someone else does. Maybe they kiss better ass than you do. Guess what? Get over it. Life will hijack your mind if you let it. Don't allow all these things to make you a lesser person. You must own your mind. Don't let life own yours. Get after it, stay hard. You have to fix the mind before you can bestow the blessing, because until they get their mind right, everything you invest in them is going to leak out of the crevices of a mind that refuses to change. Tell them they got till midnight to get that fix. They've got till midnight to dump out all jealousy, all pettiness, all unforgiveness, all strife, all malice, all confusion, all blaming other people for your mistake. You got till midnight to get rid of every poison that's hindering you, every inflexibility that's stopping you from what God is about to pour into your life. Woe be unto you if you go into another year and waste another year with the old mentality while somebody's in the hospital begging God for the opportunity that you have right now. You better step into this moment.
When you get to the point where all you want to do is be successful as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I'm here to tell you, number one, that most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it badder than you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep. Some of you love sleep more than you love success. And I'm here to tell you today, if you're going to be successful, you've got to be willing to give up sleep.
Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, what's using my life? Heard a guy give a lecture one time that says, we are today what we were when. And he was talking about the fact that we, to a great extent, behave, think, react because of some previous experience that we've had. One of the things that we know about life is that it is always changing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down.
And I said it the other day, and you have to realize, you have to know, you have to accept that all your excuses are lies. They are lies, all of them. Think about the things that you tell yourself, the lies you use to rationalize taking the easy road. Taking the easy road and leaving discipline behind. Think about them. You don't have time.
Here's the big challenge of life. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. That's the challenge. And of course, the other side of the coin reads, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got. I have found in my experience that income does not far exceed personal development. Now, sometimes income takes a lucky jump, but sure enough, unless you grow out where it is, it'll usually come back where you are. Life has strange ways.
Put yourself together. And then maybe if you put yourself together, you know how to do that. You know what's wrong with you, if you'll admit it. You know there's a few things you could, like, polish up a little bit, that you might even be able to manage in your insufficient present condition. And so you might shine yourself up a little bit, and then your eyes will be a little more open, then you can shine yourself up a little bit more, and then maybe you could bring your family together instead of having them be the hateful, spiteful, neurotic, infighting batch that you're, like, doomed to spend Christmas with.
See, sometimes we can't say, I can do that. But what we can say, that it's possible that I can have my dream as we run toward it, as we work on it day in and day out. No one, ladies and gentlemen, could have convinced me when I started out just over 6 years ago working on my dream. And I want you to think about whatever your dream is. Because I was willing to take a chance, and most people won't do that. Most of the people that you talk to try and bring them into the business, these are not risk takers. Most people have done all that they're ever going to do. They raise a family, they earn a living, and then they die. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning. And here's what I will share with you, that in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. What you will realize is that you have greatness within you. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine. What you will realize is that you are greater than your circumstances, that you don't have to go through life being a victim.
If you really want to be successful, some days you're going to have to stay up 3 days in a row. Because if you go to sleep, you might miss the opportunity to be successful. That's how bad you got to want it. You got to go days without, listen to me, you got to want to be successful so bad that you forget to eat. Beyonce said once she was on the set doing her thing, 3 days had gone by, she forgot she didn't eat because she was engaged. I never forget when 50 Cent was doing his movie, I did a little research on 50, and 50 said that when he wasn't doing the movie, he was doing the soundtrack. And they said, when do you sleep, 50? Sleep, he said, sleep. Sleep is for those people who are broke. I don't sleep. He said, I got an opportunity to make a dream become a reality. Football players, how many football players? Got anybody like football in here? Raise your hand. Anybody like football? Emmitt Smith. I used to be a Cowboy fan before they did my boy Tom Landry wrong. I used to be a Cowboy fan. And watch this, there was a commercial. Emmitt Smith had won his first Super Bowl, and he had this commercial when he was lifting weights. I don't know if you saw the commercial when he was lifting, and Emmitt said, you know what? I won the Super Bowl, so I can rest now. He was doing his bench press. So he said, I won a Super Bowl, so I can rest now. So he throws up about 325, boom. And he rests for about 2 seconds. Did you see that? He'd already won a Super Bowl. He said, I think I'm going to take a rest. And he rests for how long? 1 second. Most of you won't be successful because when you're studying and you get tired, you quit. And I'm here to tell you today, if you got somebody came in my office the other day crying. I said, look, don't cry to give up. Cry to keep going. Don't cry to quit. You already in pain. You already hurt. Get a reward from it. Don't go to sleep until you succeed.
Other than death, all failure is psychological. Other than death, all failure is psychological. Think about that. Just think about that. This failure, this upset, this catastrophe. If you aren't dead, then it's just psychological. It's in your head. Now, this does not mean that you won't lose some battles, because you will. We all will. But it does mean that as long as you don't surrender, as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't quit, then you haven't failed. It just means you've made a temporary tactical retreat. It means you've made a brief withdrawal so that you can regroup and reattack. So, as far as I'm concerned, if you get beat, unless you're dead, you are not defeated. And you have not failed. What you've done is you've learned. You've gained experience. And you're still alive. And you have memories to make. So get up and go get after it.
How do you overcome the suffering of life? Is be a better person. That's how you do it. Well, that's hard. It takes responsibility. And I think, if you said to someone, you want to have a meaningful life? Everything you do matters. That's the definition of a meaningful life. But everything you do matters. So you're going to have to carry that with you. Or do you want to just forget about the whole meaning thing, and then you don't have any responsibility, because who the hell cares, and you can wander through life doing whatever you want, gratifying impulsive desires for how useful that's going to be, and you're stuck in meaninglessness, but you don't have any responsibility. Which one do you want? Well, ask yourself, which one are you pursuing? And you'll find very rapidly that it isn't the majority of your soul that's pursuing the whole meaning thing, because, well, look what you have to do that. You have to take on the fact that life is suffering. You have to put yourself together in the face of that. Well, that's hard. Christ, it's amazing people can even do it. I'm stunned every day when I go outside, and it isn't a riot with everything burning. Because really, God, you talk to people, it's like, I knew this guy, he'd been in a motorcycle accident, and it really ruined him, and he was like a linesman, working on the power, and he was working with someone who had Parkinson's disease, and they had complementary inadequacies, and so 2 of them could do the job of 1 person, and so they're out there fixing power lines in the freezing cold, despite the fact that one was 3/4 wrecked with a motorcycle accident and the other one had Parkinson's. It's like, that's how our civilization works. It's like, there's all these ruined people out there, they've got problems like you can't believe. Off they go to work and do things they don't even like, and look, the lights are on. My God, it's unbelievable. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. And we're so ungrateful. College students, the postmodern types, they're so ungrateful. They don't know that they're surrounded by just a bloody miracle. It's a miracle that all this stuff works. That all you crazy chimpanzees that don't know each other can sit in the same room for 2 hours sweltering away without tearing each other apart, because that's what chimps do.
Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. Success is looking for a good place to stay. So instead of going after it, you work on yourself. Personal development. See, the major question to ask on the job is not what are you getting. The major question to ask on the job is, what are you becoming? See, the big question is not what am I getting paid here. The big question is what am I becoming here? Because true happiness is not contained in what you get. Happiness is contained in what you become. So that's our major subject for tonight, personal development. Of all the assignments Mr. Schoaf gave me at age 25, this was probably the most difficult. In fact, I'm still working on this one. I think it's an unending challenge to see what you can become. The next subject is called Basic Laws. And it's good to study the basics. And I call these basics primarily because they come from the Bible. Now, I'm not a theologian or a minister, and that'll be apparent. But Mr. Schoaf taught me that the Bible was a good textbook for ideas and stories and success equations, how to live the better life. I found out that was true. He also taught me that the Bible is as practical as it is spiritual, and I found out that's true. If you look at your bank account and your income and you're not happy, there are several places in the Bible to check to see what the heck's wrong so you can make the changes. And we're going to cover some of those tonight, called basics. Okay, the next subject is my favorite, setting goals. Mr. Schoaf taught me how to set goals. What a favor that was. One morning at breakfast, shortly after I met him, he said, Jim, let me see your current list of goals and let's go over them and talk about them. He said, maybe that's the best way I can help you get a better direction started. And I said, I don't have a list. He said, well, is it out in the car or home somewhere? I said, no, sir. I don't have a list anywhere. He said, well, young man, that's where we got to start. He said, I can tell you right now, if you don't have a list of your goals with you, he said, I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s. Which he did. And that got my attention. I said, you mean my bank balance would change if I had a list of goals? He said, drastically. That day I became a willing student how to set goals.